Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Koop'd Up podcast. The podcast that unfortunately still had to go to work today on a snow day. Tragic. As always, folks, my name is Koopa, and welcome back to my podcast where every week I sit down with one of my friends and we talk about all the happenings that we're doing while we're all stuck inside. Doubly so today, because it is snowing outside today. And this week, folks, I'm blessed to be joined by one of my very good friends. She is a Twitch partner, content creator, and according to her Twitter bio, a video game preservation enthusiast. She is one of my longest running friends on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Koop'd Up welcome to Retro Allie. Allie, my friend, how are you?
Hi, I'm pretty good for a Monday, but yeah.
Yeah, all things considered.
Yeah.
For context sake, we are recording this in the midst of one of the biggest nor'easters of the year. There's about 2 feet of snow outside my window right now. So if one of our internets dies...
I unearthed my car yesterday, and now today my car is completely covered again, so that's fun.
That is the weather gods spiting you, unfortunately. It happens.
Yeah.
I ask myself every time, I always ask myself around this time of year, like, why do I continue to live in the Northeast when shit like this happens, like all the time?
Oh yeah.
It's truly frustrating. But Allie,
why do I do this to myself?
Yeah, right. You left this part of the country at one point, and you chose to came back. So you're the crazy person.
I am. I can't confirm that.
But Allie, thank you again for sitting down and joining me. Now, I have to ask this question at the beginning of every podcast, because this podcast is mostly a way of me to affirm my own self-validation. So I got to ask that at the top of the podcast. Is it accurate for me to say that we're friends?
Yes. maybe even more than that.
That, you know what? You raise quite a strong point. It's a fun question I like to ask at like the top of the podcast, and I've seen other podcasters like do this mostly to make the interview feel more authentic, but I'm mostly doing it for my own self-worth, because I'm vain and I need that self-affirmation in these trying times.
Totally.
But we've known each other through quite a number of different vehicles, and I was thinking about this we met each other. I think you and a mutual friend were on the same like content team for a while, and I think that the information's accurate. You were streaming at the time. You were pretty heavily involved in Smash content. My realm of the internet at that time existed in Smash. And now we are here. We have blossomed into whatever the hell this beautiful like gaggle of memes is.
Gaggle of memes. That's accurate. That's accurate.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know, because you've obviously worn a bunch of different hats. You were a Smash player. You do primarily Pokemon content still, but you since do some other stuff. So for the people at home that might not be as inclined to you as I am, why don't you give us a quick synopsis of what your footprint on the internet actually is?
My footprint. Oh man. So yeah. Hi. Hello. Allie, aka Retro Allie. Previously SCF3, if you know that name.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, that SCF3 is dead. Anyway, yeah, at least when I started out streaming, I started out doing a lot of like Pokemon and like Smash stuff, and then sort of branched out into more like variety Nintendo kind of stuff. But yeah, I pretty much streaming every day or almost every day for the past 6 years now or something crazy, which is insane to say out loud. Yeah, it's gonna be 6 years in this month, which is insane. In 21 days.
That is absolutely insane, because we've known each other for I think a good portion of time.
Probably 5.
Yeah, we've been friends for about 5 years, I think. That's right.
Pound, I think. Yeah, that's what Pound 2016. That's wild.
Wow, that's a long time ago. Yeah,
I remember a long time.
Well, because I've known you long enough to where you got partnered and you got your sub badge, and I have one of those nifty founders badges.
You do.
So that means I was one of the first person to buy into the SCF3 stock.
Oh god, the stonks.
Don't worry, we're not, this isn't I'm not educated
This
enough
is
to
not a
like
stonk
talk about the stonks.
program. The
Although,
memes are good though. I will give it that.
yeah, the memes are great. It's one of my most used
Mhm.
emotes for a reason, and it's fantastic stuff. But so
Mhm.
this is something new before we start getting into the meat of things. Um,
Mhm.
so at the end of every podcast, I always make sure to tell the
Mhm.
viewers to ask a question. Let us know what your questions are to feed back into the show and all that fun stuff. And as I recorded an episode over the weekend, and as
Mhm.
I was recording, my friend who I was interviewing that week sent us in a
Mhm.
viewer question, Allie.
Mm.
So the question of the week comes from
Mhm.
my good friend Sean, and he asks,
Mhm.
"What's your favorite condiment to spread and your favorite condiment to dip?" So,
Hmm.
So I have my answers pretty much
Mhm.
set up. I'm a fan of ranch. Ranch is a great dipping
Mhm.
sauce for a dippings. I'm gonna give you a weird one for my favorite spreadable.
Okay.
I love pesto sauce. I put pesto sauce and
Hmm.
I think on like everything. It's very
Yeah.
good. So that's my hot
Yeah.
take for a great
That's your
spreadable
that's your
condiment.
hot take. I guess for me, I mean, like, I don't know, I'm kind of boring because like I don't usually like get sauce or anything on stuff unless it's like ketchup or like really anything spicy or like hot sauce or like whatever. So I'd probably pick those two. Or like, oh, I really like, I mean, I pretty much no, I haven't been doing this as of late, but at least like a month ago or two, like I would just like eat spicy salsa with like everything and like dip
Ooh.
it in everything and just put it all. Yeah. So I'm that kind of person.
That's good. No, honestly, I am
Yeah,
a
it's good. I love it. I'm addicted.
I am a connoisseur of all things spicy. I actually discovered
Mm,
today that somebody in my house like threw out my bottle of sriracha, and I am
yeah.
like
Ooh.
mortified. I'm very hurt right now, Allie.
Oh, that's betrayal.
I know. It's grounds for me to move
Uh,
out if it wasn't in the middle of the snowstorm.
oh,
So
and a pandemic.
that too. Um so just general pandemic stuff. So how are you doing? I know you're located on the East Coast, non-doxable
Mhm.
location, East Coast, and you're currently working from homes, correct?
Yeah, I've been working from home since March, and it's funny because I started the job that I'm currently at, I started like a week or two before quarantine happened. So I've pretty much like worked from my current job, like I've worked more from home than I've actually been in the office. So that's
Oh
kind of
wow.
ironic. And it was even more ironic is because since I moved like two or 3 months ago, I moved closer to where my office is. So before I had a 30-minute drive and now like I have a 5-10 minute drive, but it's not like I'm going in. So
Yeah, you're definitely saving a lot on gas, I'm sure.
oh, definitely, definitely, which is pretty nice.
So
I like that.
that's an interesting talking point because you're obviously a content creator. You've been making,
Mhm.
whether it be streaming or creating YouTube videos, you've been doing that for, like you said,
Mhm.
the better part of the last 6 years. But you're
Mhm.
also working like a regular like 9 to 5 day job. So like,
Mhm.
I'm sure I've talked about this before in passing with you, but do you find that balance like hard to balance out like doing content while also having to be like a functioning adult like in the real world?
Yeah, I guess to an extent, obviously, like it's not easy, but like keeping in a routine like really helps me. And like honestly, having like a quote unquote actual job or normie job kind of helps balance out the craziness or weirdness or like intensity of like streaming and the internet in general. Cause it kind of just like grounds you in a way, not in like a pretentious like ego sort of way, but it just makes you realize like the internet isn't the end all be all, I guess, of things. Like, even though I feel like, I'm on it like 24/7. So it's kind of nice in that sense. And like, it's just something normal to like balance out the craziness. But like, I mean, for streaming for me, like, I mean, yeah, I did it full time for like a couple years, but then I was like, I want stability. I like stability. I like health insurance. So,
Honestly,
so like, yeah.
that's funny because we're both in that same
Yeah.
age bracket. where
Yeah.
we both really like health insurance and to have it.
Yes.
Because we
Yes,
are
I
not,
got that
yeah,
now.
because according to the eyes of the government, we're fending for ourselves now.
Mhm.
But I think that's really cool, and I think I love just because obviously I've known you for a long time, and I've seen how you've taken these different avenues with your content creation,
Mhm.
and you've
Mhm.
always found a way to like continue to create something while also
Mhm.
like having like a really like badass like real life, because you were studying abroad in Korea for a while, and
Yes.
you had a brief stint where you
Mhm.
worked for Twitch for a short amount of
Mhm.
time. So
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
that, I think
Sometimes.
that's yeah, I think that stuff's awesome, and I personally
Yeah.
miss like the poverty like 5 a.m. like Korea streams. Like that was a
Oh
great
my
time.
god. See, I always think like nobody remembers those, or if it like it's people that do remember them, it's like the people that have been around for like a long time. Oh my god. Yeah, that was I would like I had class from like let's say like 9 to 10 or something like that. And then I would get back, eat lunch, and then I had maybe like 2 or 3 free hours before my internship that I had to go to later in the day. So I'd stream at like 10 a.m. Korean time, which was like, I don't know what, like 11 p.m. here or
Something like
something
that.
ridiculous. And I was streaming from my laptop, which was a hot mess. So, and then, yeah, I would stream for maybe like an hour or two. And then I'm like, okay, guys, I gotta go to my internship. I get dressed in like my fancy clothes, walk to the bus stop, and then go to work for the rest of the afternoon. So, like, that was interesting.
How long were you out there for again?
It was like 3 months.
Oh wow, geez, it feels like way longer than that for some reason.
It did. I want to go back, but obviously, that
Yeah.
and like Japan I want to do, but obviously that probably won't happen for like a year or two.
I know. I was.
Depending.
It's funny. This year or like back in 2020, when things looked like semi-normal, me and my friends were actually talking about like traveling abroad because I had just gotten my passport as a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like
Nice.
I was super excited. I was gonna like go to all these places. I wanted to go. I want to see Korea. Like I obviously like the
Mm.
culture, the country is beautiful. The food is great. For what
Food
I've
is
been.
so good.
Yeah, oh
Mm.
my god, I miss Korean
That's
fried
where my
chicken
love of
so much.
spicy food I think has come from. Because I never
Ooh.
liked spicy stuff before I went to Korea, and then I went to Korea, and I'm like, I like torturing myself. I like spicy food.
Oh my gosh,
It's just
I,
so good. Like
it's
it
great.
burns, but it tastes so good. Ugh.
It's yeah, and like sometimes you get like you get a good heat. Like I don't like the insanely like hot stuff where like you're not even enjoying yourself when you're eating it. Like I
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
like I like a very like mellow like I'm sweating a bit, but I can't tell if I'm sweating because I'm out of shape or if I'm sweating because this chicken's
Mhm.
really hot sort of heat.
Exactly,
Yeah, but
exactly.
maybe by the end of all this, maybe I can. I don't know. I'll fill my void with Banchan for the time being because they just opened one by my house, which is great. But
Mhm.
so obviously, we are. This is a pop culture podcast
Mm,
at its core. And
mm.
you were someone who, like, when I kind of had this idea hatching, you were someone that I had at like the top of my list of people to talk to because you're big. I know it's I'm flattered. But for one of the big reasons behind that is that you made like I'd say not like a steep change in your content, but like
Mhm,
you really like went hard on the retro aesthetic. So
mhm,
like talk a little. I wanted to talk to you about like just give your history on like how you got really like fascinated with like
mhm.
the retro genre and like how you kind of came
Yeah.
across like yeah I'm gonna like put all my eggs in this basket and go for it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it kind of all started like I guess in like middle school is like where all of this like happened initially where like basically I think at that point like the DS and like the Wii had came out and like I love the DS obviously like the Wii's okay. I didn't play too much of it cuz my brother won one at his prom and then like
Oh wow.
since it was his, he like sold it like down the line. So like literally all I played was Brawl and Pokemon Snap. But anyway, that's besides the point. So that was around that era. And as like things were moving forward, like again, I didn't play that much of the Wii, but I played a lot of the DS because I like handhelds. And I was like, man, like I just like playing my Game Boy. Like that's my favorite. Like I like the old games. I like especially with Pokemon, like glitches and stuff like that in Gem 1. Like I was super into that. And that was sort of like how I got into like retro gaming, I guess, specifically because I was just going back and either playing stuff I used to have or even stuff that was like, not even around, or I wasn't around when it came out, like the NES and stuff. And so I kind of got into not only the retro games from that, but like the history of it, I've always found fascinating. So then, I started streaming in like 2015, and I started out with like Pokemon and like Melee primarily was kind of my thing. And obviously, like with Pokemon, there's a lot of the older games, like Game Boy Advance, all that stuff, N64. And like I've always preferred that because that's what I grew up with. So pretty much, I mean, I've always been doing Pokemon and like Nintendo stuff. And then I guess I'm trying to think, probably within, well, it's 2021 now. So within like the past, I don't know, like 2 years or 3 years, let's say, is when I sort of pivoted more into doing retro stuff just because like that's what I'm personally into. That's the kind of stuff that I like and that I watch, whether it's streaming or YouTube or whatever. So it's like, you want to make something that you would want to watch, that you would enjoy, right?
Of
And that's
course.
what I liked because I was so burnt out, I guess, for lack of a better word, of like the grind on Twitch. And I felt comfortable enough to like do my own thing and like do what I want versus what I felt like I had to do, which don't get me wrong, like I still love Pokemon, but like I look back on like what, like 2017 streams where I grinded out like, Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon when it came out, and going back to like Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, X and Y. Like I love those games, but like streaming them day in and day out, that's what got views and that's what brought people in, which is totally fine and great, but I didn't want to stay I don't want to stay just in one thing. And that's definitely what I'm probably most well known for, I suppose. But yeah, basically, like the past 2 or 3 years, I sort of pivoted. I changed my Twitch name, which, like, that partially kind of had to do with it. Not that my old name was, like, not related to retro stuff, because my old username, long story short, is like related to back in like middle school when I got into like the internet and Pokemon and retro games and stuff. But like I changed my username, that was like a big part of it, and then focusing on doing like playthroughs of old games that I either have or haven't played. And so pretty much, yeah, the past like 2 or 3 years, I kind of just pivoted to that, and then stuck with it and like stayed consistent with it, and now we're here. So I guess that's sort of how all that happened, and you know, I don't know. I like what I'm doing now, and I don't see myself going back to like like right now Sword and Shield's like the big Pokemon game. Like I don't see myself like going back and streaming that game every day of my life, like I maybe used to would have like a couple years ago with the
Right.
3DS games. But I know friends that are in that realm and just only do Pokemon still, and that's great. But I love Pokemon, but like I also like streaming other like retro games and stuff. And like, the old Pokemon games. But yeah, so that's kind of, I guess that's kind of how that happened.
That's awesome stuff, and I definitely resonate with like having a really bad like first screen name when you first start getting onto the internet. Like I think you can talk to most people in like our age bracket, like
Oh yeah.
like anyone from like our to like mid to like late 20s range, and like everybody's first screen name is some like synonym of like an anime or like like a video game they
Like
played when they were
Sephiroth
younger.
Lover
Yeah.
277.
I remember, oh man, I think mine was my first email address I made. I was like really into Zatch Bell when I was younger. It's like
Oh
one of my
no
like
way.
it's like one of my favorite like nostalgic animes. Like I read the manga. Like I'm not much of a manga reader. Like, cause I can't.
Mhm.
I don't want to say I can't read. That's rude. But like, I'm a bad reader. But like, I was just so into this show when it came out because I just like thought the concept was so cool that like I think I made
Mhm.
like my I think I made my first email address like Zatch Kyle or something dumb like that.
No
Like
way.
probably I was listen. It was a different time back then.
Oh yeah.
I've changed maybe, but Zatch Bell still rules though. That's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Mm.
But I gotta say, like, as someone that's obviously been like a viewer of your content, and like I said, I've known you for a while. Like I love
Mhm.
the direction you've gone, because retro seems to be like in again. It's weird, like it's a
Oh
weird
yeah, it's
thing.
interesting.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
you see
it's
it all the
kind of like
time.
blowing up again.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like from like looking at your like Like, I'll scroll through like your social media feeds and stuff like that, and the
Mhm.
thing that I love about like the retro stuff is that I'm pretty like ignorant to like the older stuff,
Mhm.
because like I didn't have like a Game Boy when I was growing up and stuff like that. Like I didn't have,
Mhm.
my first consoles as a kid were like, more of the modern consoles. Like my first DS was the DS Lite and stuff like that, which by the
Oh,
way,
I love the DS Lite.
it's one of my favorite consoles of all time. The DS
Hell
library
yeah.
is so good.
Oh,
Like,
it's so
oh
good. That's
man.
why the 3DS is so good too, because it's backwards compatible. Plus, you get all the 3DS stuff and like the eShop, digital stuff. So.
It's the same reason for me, because you said you didn't grow up with the Wii. It's the same reason why I still like love the Wii as much as I do, because yeah, I
Mhm.
was a huge GameCube kid growing up. Like the GameCube was the first
Mhm.
console where it was mine, and not I didn't have to share it with like my brother or something.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's weird because the first console we had in my house, technically, my brother got a PS2, and that was a big deal. I
Oh
remember,
wow.
like back in the day. And then my first console that I had that was mine was a GameCube. And then I think we also had an Xbox or whatever, but I didn't play that as much. That was mainly my brother. But then when we got the Wii, yeah, like I said, my brother won it from like his prom or whatever. And like it was like our like families or whatever, but it was his. So like I didn't really have it for I couldn't tell you how long we had it for. I had it long enough to play a bunch of Smash and a bunch of like Pokemon Snap, but like and Pokemon Ranch and stuff. But I didn't have it for so like a long enough time where like I was playing all the like good games on Wii and stuff. Outside of, like Wii Sports maybe. But
Yeah.
like so that's why for me, like that's why I don't really like I'm nostalgic for like that Wii era, because the Wii's cool and everything, and like the graphics and the aesthetic or whatever. But in terms of the actual games on the Wii, all I played, like I said, it was like Brawl, Pokemon Snap, and Twilight Princess, which I've never beaten. But
Oh
yeah, those are
wow.
like the main three things I played. Yeah, I actually got one of my viewers sent me Twilight Princess in the mail today for GameCube, so I'm gonna stream it, and I'm very excited because I really want to
Oh,
beat
they
it.
sent you the GameCube
Um,
version? Holy crap.
Yeah, I
Wow.
had the
Oh.
I had the Wii version, but obviously I don't have a Wii. I used to
Yeah.
have a Wii mainly for Smash tournaments, and then I sold it.
I like, oh my gosh. I actually completely forgot that Twilight Princess had a GameCube release, because
I know. I feel like yeah, everybody kind of
and
because
to my
everybody
knowledge,
thinks like
that
of the
that version of the
Wii.
game still sells for like a lot, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I forget off the top of my head, but yeah, it's wild. Like I kind of forgot. It's kind of like Breath of the Wild, like beat on the Wii U and then the Switch.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google search, and like the cheapest version I can find is like it for $75 on eBay. So that's
Oh my
crazy.
god, GameCube games have like spiked up so much, not just because of the pandemic, but it's like everybody our age has a job now, so they can go and buy all the old GameCube games. Like literally, like the only GameCube games I have left, like on my list, are like F-Zero GX, amazing game. Mario Party 6, which has spiked up, which is stupid.
Oh
And
wow, that
then
sucks.
what's the other one? There's one more. Why am I brain farting? Mario Party 6, SOG. Oh, Super Monkey Ball 2. I
Oh,
forgot to take that off my I bought that last weekend for like $10. So
great game.
Monkey Ball. Oh, I love that game. It
Absolute
makes me a little
banger.
motion sick, but it's fun.
I think that's the point of Monkey Ball. It's supposed to make you feel a little
Yeah,
ill
that's true.
on the inside. And like something else that I like love
Uh,
um is that you've really opened my eyes to the market of like modding these like older consoles and stuff like that. Like
mhm.
you have a plethora, an arsenal, I dare I say, of like these like, these backlit Game Boys, these like Game Boys with the
Yeah,
clear coats and
they're
stuff like
fun.
that.
Yeah.
Which out of the ones that you have, which ones are like which one of those like modded consoles is your favorite?
Oh, definitely. So a friend of mine on Instagram or one of my mutuals, Dan, he does modded Game Boys, and he originally made me you've seen pictures of it, but for anybody that doesn't know, I originally had this like all white Game Boy with white buttons and like a Pokemon like screen lens, like the border around it, right?
Ooh.
But then and we did a trade for it. So I sent him a bunch of games that he was looking for, and he in return modded a Game Boy for me. So then what he did, he's like, "Hey, like I made like an updated version of the Game Boy, like a V2 of the Game Boy I originally made you. So the new one is basically same idea except the buttons light up, which is really cool.
Oh
And
wow.
it's like a better screen basically without like going too in depth. But Probably that one, but I will say I just finished a couple weeks ago um this company Retro Modding. They're in Canada, I think, and they sell like parts for mods for systems and handhelds and stuff, and they sent me some stuff to build a Game Boy for like a video and like a post or whatever, and I'm actually working on that video right now. But I posted a picture of it, and it's this like galaxy looking Game Boy, like the original Game Boy, and you can change the screen color. Like there's like freaking 20 different colors to choose from. It's really, really cool.
Oh wow.
But that one's definitely one of my favorites, not only just because I did it myself, but I just think it just looks really freaking cool. So that one, and that one I've been like, when I've gone to visit family, like I'll like bring that in my book bag just for like the road,
Yeah.
which is nice to have one to just like bring around just for fun. But probably those two, I think, will probably be my favorites. But
That's like definitely one of my favorite rabbit holes to like fall down whenever it's like
Mhm.
late at night on YouTube. Like people like restoring like old consoles to make them look like they're new again, or like modding these older consoles. Like, do you know
Mm.
how many times I've watched people like stick Nintendo 64s into portable consoles? Like it's so it doesn't get
Mm.
it doesn't get old to me. And like one of my
Mm.
like I think that's where I'm like very nostalgic is for like N64 stuff. And because one of the last things that I have an aficionado for collecting GameCube controllers. Like I like to buy
Mm.
GameCube controllers just because you can never have
Oh,
enough of
I
them.
want that emerald. I want that emerald GameCube controller. It's so pretty, but it's so expensive.
There was a moment
I
in
think there's
time. I regret this for a long time, but like somebody I
uh-huh.
knew on Twitter was selling an emerald one for like a pretty
Oh,
reasonable price. It was like
yeah, now they're really expensive.
yeah, like it was a pretty reasonable price, and like I never used like PayPal before, so like I was just like, what the fuck is a routing number? Like I don't know what that is. like,
Oh
I,
god.
like I don't know what any of this stuff is. So like I like passed like the guy like messaged me, so like I like lost out on like being able to buy it. I'm like, dang, like that would have been
Dang,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah. So like once I
Yeah, yeah.
there's one of the last things I did before the world ended is I went to a tournament, and
Yeah.
there's I forget the name of this guy's stuff, but I'll if I remember I'll link his Twitter in the video description. But he sells
Mhm.
like these like custom made buttons and GameCube controller shells. So the
Mhm.
GameCube controller that I currently use is like a like red tinted clear shell with like N64 buttons in it,
Ooh.
so it looks like one of like the old like N64 controllers.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like one of my like prized possessions of controllers. I really really like it.
Yeah, that's sick. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
if I remember what their Twitter information is and stuff like that, I'll link it in the video
Yeah.
description. But comes highly recommended. So while we're on this the subject, as you mentioned it, you're a collector of video games. What's like been like what's your favorite thing that you've collected? Like what's something in your collection that you're like really
Mm.
really proud of that you have?
Probably I would say, so the one with like I guess the most somewhat interesting story is, so Pokemon Yellow complete in the box I got a couple months ago, like near the end of last year, I think. And I was looking for it for a while, obviously, because it's like it's my favorite game. That's like the first video game I ever played. So it was one that I really wanted. But obviously that game's really expensive. And I actually had lost out on it um way, way earlier last year, or maybe even the year before, where, I have a game store near me that I go to and they had it. But long story short, I know the guy that owns the place, and like I think it was a new worker. And I was like, hey man, like normally they usually, if you're there a lot, they'll sell you stuff. If you want just the box and the manual and not the game, because like obviously I already have the game. So like I'll ask them and they're usually cool with it. But the guy that was working there that day, I think he was new, you
Oh
know,
no.
I asked him and he didn't let me. And I was like, what if I just like buy the game and like trade it back in? I was like half joking when I said that. He's like, nah, man, like whatever. And I'm like, okay, screw it. Like, and even though it's technically cheaper then, when I saw it again last year, I had just did a trade in, and obviously the price has gone up, so I still paid a decent chunk of money for it. But what was cool about this one was that when I opened it up when I got home, obviously it had all the stuff in it. And I had gotten just the box and the manual. I didn't need the game, obviously. But when I got home, what's cool about it is or just in general with some games, sometimes they have like for example, I have a Hey You Pikachu that has a Toys R Us sticker on it, right?
Oh
Or like
wow.
if it has the receipt with it or something like that. So I opened the yellow box and the receipt was in there. And it was the receipt from when somebody had originally bought it. And it was from the Walmart that used to be like down the street for me, which was really cool. And it had like the date, the price, it was like 25 bucks, and like the address and the phone number of like the old Walmart I used to go to as a kid. So I felt like I kind of went like full circle. Cause like obviously it was from someone that's like local to where I am. It wasn't just like, so it's I don't know, it's kind of cool. Like that one I'm like kind of the most hype about just because it's my favorite game. And the fact that it kind of had that in there like as a surprise, I thought that was cool because it's more of like a story behind it or
No,
whatever.
that's awesome.
But
It's like when you like boot
it
up
was
like an old
wild.
game. It's like when you boot up someone's old
Yes.
save file and like you like look at like what they were
Mhm.
doing. Like I love doing that when
Mhm.
I buy old games and like
Oh, that
sometimes
is the best, especially with Pokemon games.
yeah, cuz like you're just like looking at like what point of the game these people are at and I'm just like damn, this guy's like 4 badges in and he has like 4 water types. Like my man, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's
like
wild.
like
Oh my
somebody
god.
must clearly like Misty and like the whole like only team
Yeah.
of water Pokemon aesthetic.
Oh, I love that's one of my favorite things to do. I did that for a video once where it was not last year but the year before, which is crazy saying that because we just lost a whole year basically. But
All right.
when I went to Pokeathon, the like charity Pokemon stream thing that I did, basically, they flew us out to like a bunch of Pokemon streamers to California and we all did like a marathon for charity. And there was a game store near Direct Relief headquarters, which is like the charity we were working with. And I bought what was it? I think it was Pokemon Diamond or Pearl. I forget which one. But I bought it and you know what was on there? It was a bunch of hacked, obviously mostly hacked like shinies and stuff, but this person or this girl, had her whole original team like fully evolved starter, like fully evolved team, like seeing somebody else's team that they've clearly used throughout the game was just like so cool. And it was funny just seeing all the hack stuff too. But I traded all the Pokemon. I traded all of them to my Soul Silver so I could actually like use them, which was really cool. But it's like stuff like that is just really, really neat.
Yeah, there's it's funny you mentioned that cuz I remember that was a big deal whenever like Pokemon made a transition from like the Game Boy Advance like into the DS era was like how are
Mhm.
you going to get your Pokemon like from your older games into these newer games? And I thought that like the way that
Mhm.
like the Gen 4 transfer system did it was like genius by like just like oh yeah,
Mhm.
if you stick your Game Boy or like if you stick your game in the Game Boy cart, you can like
Mm.
transfer them over via like the PAL Park system and stuff. And there is I think somewhere in my room, I don't remember where, it might be
Mhm.
lodged in between my couch cushions or somewhere in a sock drawer, I don't remember,
Mhm.
is a copy of Omega Ruby that has a Glalie in it that I've had since I was in the 5th grade, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my
So,
god. Yeah, that's like for me, or like that's I mean, it's long story short, but I have like a Raichu from like Emerald. So when I was in like elementary school, I've transferred it all the way up into the Switch games, which is crazy. And I have a couple other Pokemon like that, but like I have Pokemon from when I was in like fourth grade, and now I'm like what, 26? Like it's wild. Like no other I could be wrong, but like to my knowledge, I feel like there hasn't been a lot of games that have done, something like that. Like that sort of backwards or forwards compatibility, I guess.
no. And I think for like for most other games, I don't think it would make like a whole lot of sense. I think for other
Oh
RPGs
yeah.
maybe, but like for Pokemon especially because like Pokemon just
Mhm.
keeps like building upon itself and stuff like that
It's like
and
your
like
little buddies. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So like you'll look at like
There's some
RPGs.
RPG, yeah,
You
yeah.
go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh yeah. There no, I was just gonna say there's some RPGs where like, especially if it's on a console, like if it's like, oh, you have save data on your memory card from the first game and now you're playing the sequel, we'll give you like some items or a special, side quest or something like that.
Oh yeah, like I love stuff like that. Um and I think
Mm.
just the way the Pokemon's done it has been great cuz like there's something like very nostalgic like you play through like I'm so like anal when I like put together Pokemon teams and games.
Oh, I
Like
feel you.
that'll be like I can talk about that more in depth in a second, but like you go through pretty much the whole game playing with this one team and then you get to like bring all your like old Pokemon up to speed and like you know, they like look different in the graphics engine, and especially from like the Gen 3 to Gen 4 transfers, where like back in Gen
Yeah.
3, like all like the Pokemon names were like capitalized. So like
Yeah, I still like, okay, maybe not in the newest ones, but if I go back and play the old ones, I always name my Pokemon.
that's so funny. Yeah, it's
I
like
have to. I'm obligated.
yeah, it looks weird otherwise because everything else is so
Yeah.
like it's so stylized and like capitalized. I think there was
Mhm.
when I was a kid back one Christmas I got Fire Red and Leaf Green because I'm the baby and I
Mhm.
need to have both or I would have complained.
Yeah, you gotta have both. Yeah.
Yeah, so like in one version of the game, like I like like properly like wrote my names out where like it's a capital letter and then lowercase
Yeah.
letters and it just looked so freaking
It just
weird.
looks wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt wrong. It felt very wrong. So like we said, you know, Pokemon is a big like you know it's a big point in our lives, and it's actually been a fun talking point like on Twitter the last couple of days because everybody's like mapping out their Pokemon journeys of like seeing like where people's
Yeah.
have you seen this yet?
I think because like what the anniversary or whatever.
Yeah, Pokemon turns 25 this year, I think, which is
Oh
crazy.
my god, I'm a year older than Pokemon.
We're a year
Technically.
older than Pokemon, Allie. I'm just as old as you are.
I know.
We're just
That's so
kidding. We're both
crazy.
19. Um,
Yeah, we're both. I'm 12,
yeah.
clearly.
We talk and play video games on the internet. We're children. But no, it's been a fun journey like seeing like how many
Mhm.
people have like, you know, started where and like one of my
Yeah.
friends had like a really like wild graph like a la SpongeBob like drawing his fingers all across the screen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she like started here and then she went back to play these older games and then she like started like
Yeah.
she like skipped like 3 generations.
That's wild. Yeah, I
So
mean, I pretty much went in like I pretty much went in a straight line. The only like throughout the years with the games, the only time I ever maybe had even a slight break was like around probably like around Gen 5. Like I played Heart Gold Soul Silver when it came out, and I'm pretty sure I got Black and White right when they came out. Maybe it was going into Black and White 2 where like, you know, I mean, I was in high school at that point, so like, you know, just life happens. So like I didn't play it maybe right away. I was still always into Pokemon, but it's so funny too. I've talked about this on stream where I feel like it was like cool to play Pokemon up until like the DS games, and like that's when like I was in middle school and like people are like, "Oh no, that's for babies." So like that was like my big secret in like middle school and high school was that I still played Pokemon. So like and then it was funny cuz in high school, one of my friends in our band class, one day he brought in his Game Boy Color with yellow. And I was like, "Oh my god, like is this cool again? Like what the hell? I've been playing this whole time and now everybody thinks you're cool cuz you brought in the old one. Like what the heck, man?"
dude, it's so funny you mentioned that because that
uh,
same exact thing happened to me growing up.
no.
Yeah, so like there was always this like Mount Rushmore of things that people would shame you for in like grade
Yes.
school. It was like if you played Yu-Gi-Oh, if you watched anime, if you played
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon, or if you
Mm-hmm.
like God, there's like some fourth thing. It might have been like Magic or like another card game. Like
Yeah.
if you did any of those four things, you were just like a social outcast and nobody wanted to go to the dance with you. Um
Oh yeah.
but like that same thing happened. I remember it fondly. I think I was a sophomore in high school, and
Mm.
all of a sudden, all these kids just started like bringing around like their Game Boys and their DSs and stuff like that, and everybody's just playing
Mhm.
Pokemon again. And I was just like, wait,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Is this cool again?
I know.
Like
That's what
what?
yeah.
Yeah, like people are just like screaming across the parking lot, like, "Yo, like, do you got like, can you trade me this and do that?" I'm just like, "What year am I
Mhm.
living in?" And like, you're kind of
Yeah.
seeing like bits and pieces of that happening again because
Oh,
I
yeah, because the anniversary, like, the TCG has blown up, like, ugh, it's crazy.
yeah, all my friends are either trading stocks or trading Pokemon cards, and there's no in between. Like it's
That's
absolutely
funny.
yeah, it's absolutely insane. And like you thought like
Yeah.
back in 2016 when Pokemon Go came out, so like
Oh,
Pokemon has
yeah. This
like
is yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say like Pokemon as a brand is just like constantly exploding, and like Go wasn't like my cup of
Yeah.
tea. I personally hate mobile games. Like I hate playing games on my phone. I don't know how you feel about that, but
I only play honestly, the only two mobile games I play are Pokemon Go. Like I play that every day, like kind of casually. And then, maybe like once a week I'll play like Fire Emblem Heroes and like that's it.
So you're a sucker to the gotcha slaves.
I don't pay for the gotcha. I just use the freebies
Because you're
because
a
I
smart
refuse
person
to
that
pay.
has to pay rent.
Yeah, I don't I refuse to pay for the waifus. But it's funny with Pokemon, like we've kind of had sort of and I've heard people like podcasts I listen to on like YouTube and stuff discuss this, at least specifically within the realm of like, the cards and like Pokemon as a franchise, but like Pokemon's kind of sort of blown up or had Pokemania almost like three times now, which one, it was when it first came out. Two was when Pokemon Go happened. And then three, it's kind of happening right now. The whole Logan Paul thing with like the cards, that's sort of what snowballed
Oh
it. But
yeah.
then now, we're getting into the 25th anniversary and, we're probably going to get some sort of announcement in like the next month. So like, and it's so hard to like even find the cards because like people are buying freaking Walmarts out and stuff. Like, so it's kind of wild, and it's only going to get crazier as this year goes on because they're going to be doing like this is only the beginning of like the anniversary stuff. They've barely started. So
Yeah, I know people that like pre-ordered the newest cards like months ago and they still haven't gotten them yet, which is like
oh no,
speaks
yeah,
to like
that's
the
supposed to come
volume.
out soon. I'm like I've given up on getting the new sets right when they come out. And if I'm patient, which is like what a lot of like TCG people are saying to do, it's just like because with how not to get like too rambly, but with how Pokemon is doing it, they're producing stuff in waves because of like the pandemic because they've been slowed down and behind on stuff. So they're doing stuff in waves. So it's like incremental periods where product is available, but it's small bits as opposed to doing it all at once, which is what they would do before. So like I'm sort of just holding out and trying not to freak out about pre-orders, and I'm just waiting until things calm down a little bit.
If only Xbox could do that with if only Microsoft could do that with the Xbox so I can buy one, but it's fine.
Oh
I'm not mad or
god.
anything. But
Oh
so yeah,
god.
that's awesome stuff. It's really funny, and this is a quick thing I'll talk about before we tangent into the other stuff I wanted to talk about.
Mm,
But speaking of the Pokemon craze, there is
yeah.
a mutual friend that we both that is a viewer of your streams, and is also someone
Yeah.
that lives like maybe 5 minutes away from where I live. My good friend Papa Gansley, who is a content creator.
Yeah.
I want to just give him a quick shout out because he's gotten into the
Shout
Pokemon
out.
craze. He was like
Oh,
the prophet for like at least like we're in the area that I grew up in. He was like the kid that was like, yeah, like he's like likes all the retro stuff and like nobody thinks less of it because it's just like he's him and he's like cool as ice. So like
oh,
um
that's
I
cool.
just found it very funny when like aspects of my like personal life like like crossed over into this like weird sphere of the internet that I exist on. And like
Yeah. Well, that's like when actually this happened the other day. I don't remember if you were like there or not in chat, but an old friend of mine from high school uh found my stream, and normally your first instinct is like, "Oh dear god." But it was actually good. What happened was my Sephiroth like smash reaction had gotten I let this really big like gaming reaction compilation channel use my clip in their video because I was like, oh, like that's a plus for me, exposure, whatever. Um, so I let them use it, and they posted on YouTube. They had said they would post it to YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and a bunch, not a bunch, but maybe like a handful or a couple people. I don't know how to word it. A couple people like on like Facebook, which I barely use, very rarely ever
as
use,
you should.
had as I should. They saw me and put two and two together. It's like, oh, I know this person. Like some people know I've been doing Twitch stuff and some people don't. And again, I don't really keep up with anybody from high school or college. Like I mainly just stick to my group of friends like that I've met through the internet. Like nothing against anybody from college and high school, but like I just kind of try to distance myself from that, I
Yeah,
guess.
you're in a different part of
But
your life, so
yeah, I don't know. But anyway, and like not, I mean, I have some old friends that are like nerdy, I guess, but like, I'm doing the internet. I'm on the internet. That's all we have to say about that. Anyway, I'm on the internet now. Anyway, so yeah, one of my old friends from high school found my stream and we like reconnected and it was really cool just because like I don't know, we were really good friends in high school, but like never really kept up after that. But now like he's in my Discord and like we played League a few times. It's just kind of fun. Like it's kind of funny, like because it's like, oh, I feel like I just saw you, but that was a really long time ago. So that's a wholesome story because normally if it was somebody that like I wasn't friends with, I was like, who are you? But no, it was somebody I was like actually friends with. So it's
Yeah,
cool.
like
Hopefully, I don't know if I'll listen to this, but
no,
it's just
if you do, please subscribe.
nice. Cool.
But no, that's really funny because like I totally feel that where like you have this footprint on the internet and like it's just like such a weird rush of like, oh god, like how do I explain this to someone, like
Yeah.
when you talk to them again, because like when it happens in like an organic sense like that, like I've had because I'm primarily like a Smash person, I'm a commentator and stuff, so like I run into a lot of people when I like I'm like advertising tournaments and they're like, oh, yo, like,
Mhm.
I'm interested in doing this. Like, I'll get a message from someone that I went to high school with, and like, they're like really
Mhm.
cool about it. But versus when like,
Mhm.
I'm going to to Quick Check at 3 a.m. to buy Oreos, and like, in my sweatpants, and I run into someone that's just like, yeah, I you like do this thing on the internet, right? And I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
no, no, I don't.
Oh my god, I don't know if I've ever I think I've see the only time I ever get recognized obviously is at like conventions primarily or like just in general if I'm on the West Coast cuz that's just more they're more savvy, I guess. I don't know, but I don't think I mean maybe there's been a time or two I've like randomly been recognized, but it's not a regular occurrence unless I travel like outside of where I am. But also what's funny about that too now that you say that is sort of like the I don't know how to describe it, like the weird you probably feel this. The kind of like weird balance you have between like your real life sort of life or like persona, whatever you want to call it, and then your internet stuff slash like persona and like balancing that and like trying to keep it like you want to keep them how do I describe this? Like they're their own entities and like you
Yeah.
don't want at least for me personally, I don't like when they bleed too much into one or the other. Like my this, my like personal or private stuff, that's how it stays. Like I don't broadcast that kind of stuff.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'm just here to play games and like that's it. So it's interesting to sort of balance that and then explaining it it's like family or whoever it may be who either could be in that space and totally get what you're talking about or explaining it to, your like boomer parents. But
Nah, I
yeah,
get
so
that. I think the weirdest place I've ever been recognized as an entity on the internet is when I was getting a new cell phone at the Verizon store, and the guy knew who
no
I
way.
was. Yeah, it was pretty funny. All I got out of it was like $5 off of a pop socket, so that proves to how like how much my worth is to
You're
the
sway.
impact of society. But you
I
know,
I'm trying to think of like the weirdest place I've been recognized. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's always a convention. So like if I'm, at a convention, I'm like out getting food or like walking around or something. Like not maybe not in the convention itself, but like outside of it, because obviously whatever city gets like taken over by those people.
yeah.
Probably, I can't think of anything like super. I haven't thankfully haven't anything like crazy happen to me
And
or
let's
like any
keep it
like
that way.
weird like oh I met this person while I was in the bathroom. Well, no, the bathroom would be gross. So it would be weird. But what I mean.
The
But anyway,
so
yeah,
that's really funny. Hopefully that never happens to you. But uh,
yeah.
moving on. So obviously the crux of the podcast and stuff is the pop culture stuff, and you're someone that
Yes.
obviously like that really embraces the retro side of things. So I ask my guests this
Mhm.
every week. What is it could be like a new piece of media that you played for the first time, an old thing that you went back to play for comfort's sake.
Mm.
What's it could be a video game, a movie, a TV show, or whatever. Like, so what's something that you've like played or consumed media wise in the last year that you really
Mm.
enjoyed?
This weekend I watched Rogue One for the first time and it was really good.
Oh wow. Okay. That's
It's
awesome.
way better it's way better than in terms of being like a cohesive movie, it's way better than like the new Star Wars movies. As much as I like them, like Rogue One was like way more cohesive in like an actual movie, you know? And not I won't spoil anything, but like I didn't know what to expect going into it because I pretty much knew nothing about it. But like by the end of it, I was like, oh my god, I love it.
That
So definitely
is
would recommend that if you're into Star Wars.
yes, it's on
So
Disney. It's on Disney Plus. Please
yes, it's
watch
on
it
Disney Plus.
because as I
You've
recently,
seen it, right?
I've seen it. I watched it for the first
Okay,
time a
good.
couple of years ago. Um,
Nice.
it is the best new Star Wars movie. That's my hot take.
Thank you.
Hot take.
Thank you. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a. I hope that's a normal take.
Man, I think so.
Are we gonna get on a Star Wars tangent?
No, because we'll be here for another 3 hours, and I don't want to do that. That'll be
Okay,
for
yeah.
another podcast.
Yeah, that's fair.
But so I think like two takes you see people like kind of like put together as like the sequel trilogy's been finished is that Rogue One, pretty good movie, and that The Last Jedi, not a bad movie. I think people.
I love The Last Jedi, but I know some people like to poop on it. But that's because I like Kylo Ren. So
Yeah, I know you like Kylo Ren.
I know you know.
Yeah, but that's awesome. Rogue One's awesome. It's such a fun ride, and the anthology movies, like even at their worst, because like I actually just recently watched Solo for the first time because I'd never seen it.
Yeah, that's gonna be next.
I won't spoil it for you. I enjoyed it. I know I understand why people don't like it, but I liked it
Yeah.
because like at the worst, even a bad Star Wars movie is fun.
It's still, yeah, exactly. I feel like for like if a Star Wars like like what you said, like it's sort of this actually kind of applies to Pokemon too, but it's like when people say like, oh, this Pokemon game, like people say Sword and Shield flopped. Like, yeah, Sword and Shield's not my favorite, but like it still sold ridiculous amounts. And even if it quote unquote flopped, that would still be amazing for like any other franchise. And the same goes for Star Wars. Like there could be a Star Wars movie that like flopped, but it still made $1 bajillion. So like, yeah, maybe maybe they made a little bit of money or broke even or whatever, but like it's still like the bar I think is a little bit better, like it's a little bit better than if you watched an actual shitty movie. People just have really high expectations.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I know that movie went through like some production issues and stuff like that, like directors, backing out at the last second and stuff for creative differences. So, but I think Solo is definitely like worth your time to watch. And as someone that's like pretty like deeply invested into like Star Wars again after how great The Mandalorian's been, I highly recommend. It now is a great time to get into Star Wars because it's so easy and like accessible.
It's so accessible, yeah, with like Disney Plus and everything.
Yeah, the big mouse has taken copious amounts of my money, and in a few weeks I have a planned podcast where I talk about WandaVision with one of my friends, and I'm excited. So that'll be fun.
Man. I get like free Disney Plus through my phone provider, so that's pretty nice.
So do I. Shout out to Verizon.
Oh,
just
hell yeah!
Please sponsor me.
Let's go. Please sponsor this podcast so we can keep getting free Disney Plus.
So I curated my content that I wanted to consume this week because I knew you were going to be here, and I was like, Allie's big thing is retro, and when I think retro, I think nostalgia. And when I feel nostalgic, I go back and I think of things from my childhood that I really liked. And I watched 2 movies this weekend that really that have been on my radar for a bit, and one of them was really good, and one of them was not good. So, Allie, I want you to choose for me. Which one do you want to hear me talk about first?
The not good one.
Okay, so I watched the Legends of the Hidden Temple movie on CBS All Access.
Oh my god, I forgot that existed.
Right. So if you're not familiar with Legends of the Hidden Temple, it is a game show that ran on Nickelodeon from 1993 to 1995, hosted by Kurt Fogg, and features the voice of D. Bradley Baker, who's a very prominent voice actor in the industry.
He voices like everything ever, honestly.
Yeah, like look up his IMDb. It's like IMDb. God, my language is insane. But so this movie came out in 2016 as a movie adaptation of the game show where these 3 kids they go to a hidden temple amusement park, and they end up getting lost inside of like the hidden temple that is the theme park is based around. So they have to find a treasure at the end of the temple and bring it back to the beginning of the temple. So like they hit a lot of the beats from the game show. Like Kurt Fogg is actually in the movie, which is really funny, as a fictional version of himself. Yeah, he plays a fictional version of himself, which is funny.
Oh my god.
D. Bradley Baker actually reprises his voice as Olmec in the movie, which is cool. And
Yes.
like they like pay homage to like all the kids in the show and stuff like that. Like there's a
Oh, that's
like the
cool.
kids like there's a green monkey that follows the kids around. There's a red jaguar that like shows up. So like all like the animal
Mhm.
beats are hit. They even they have like one funny joke where like the kids get to the shrine of the silver monkey, which is like notorious for being like one of the hardest things like in the game show.
Oh, that always ticked me off,
Yeah, and
you
like
know?
it's funny because like the kids are like, "Oh, it's only 3 pieces. How hard could it be?" And then like the next scene is like 4 hours have passed and they still haven't figured it out yet. So like that got like a legitimate laugh out of me. And like it's a Nickelodeon like direct to TV movie, so like the acting wasn't
Yeah,
great, and like it
yeah,
wasn't it was fine. Like I got a couple of
yeah.
chuckles out of me and stuff like that. So it's on CBS All
Mhm.
Access if you're curious about it. Legends of the Hidden Temple rules. Also, one last joke that made me laugh is that at the end of the movie when the kids like escape and stuff like that,
Mhm.
the guy like one of the guys at the end of the show gives them a brochure to Space Camp, which is like one of the prizes you can win on the show, which I thought was really
Oh,
funny.
that's funny.
Yeah, so
That's
like it like if you're looking for if you're looking for something stupid to like burn an hour, like if you're like folding laundry or something, like throw
yeah,
it on. The thing that I
yeah.
watched that I really liked was
Mhm.
Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie.
Oh, is that the new movie they made, or was it
Yes.
from Okay, I haven't seen it, but I like Hey Arnold,
So
so
I won't spoil it for you, but
okay.
so Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie is a direct follow up to the two-part. If you're not familiar with Hey Arnold, it's a show that ran from like 2002 to like 2006 or something like that on Nickelodeon. It's like one of their most
Mm,
famous shows. It's one of my favorite shows on the platform. Like
it's really good, yeah.
Hey Arnold rocks. It's like it's a great show of like it's a children's show that has like really good like adult messaging and stuff like that. Like you learn a
Mhm.
lesson in some of these episodes and stuff. So this
Yeah.
movie came out in 2017. And it is a direct follow up to the two-part episode The Journal. And if you're not familiar, the big gist of Hey Arnold is that his parents aren't like in the picture.
Football head.
Yes, and football head. He has a football shaped head. But there's a two-part episode that like explains why Arnold's parents aren't around because he lives with his grandparents in a boarding house.
Mhm.
And like it finds out that his parents like they're essentially like the cartoon version of like a Doctors Without Borders. Like they fly to like other
Mhm.
countries to like provide health care for like these other places, and I think they end up in this like fictional city in like South America where they like help
Mhm.
this race of people from like a sleeping sickness and stuff like that. And then they
Yeah.
eventually get called back to like do another mission there, and then they just went missing. And then the episode ends with Arnold finding a map in one of his dad's journals to where they are. And then
Mhm.
you hear nothing about that until this movie comes out in 2017, which is a direct follow up to that episode. So like Arnold's class wins a trip to go to the South American country, and then
Mhm.
shenanigans ensue to where he tries to find where his parents are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's for nostalgia's sake. Number one, they update a lot of the characters' looks and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So everybody like looks cool and like modernized. The voices are like pretty similar to the ones of the original voice actors because obviously a lot of these kids grew up like, and stuff like that. So like you
Mhm.
can't like repeat, you can't bring back a lot of the same actors.
Yeah.
But the movie was awesome. It's animated beautifully. It looks really good.
Mhm.
The ending is great, and without spoiling anything, they actually again another
Mhm.
running gag in Hey Arnold is that you never knew what Arnold's last name was, and
Oh, yeah.
in the movie they tell you what his last name is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I highly recommend watching it. I have CBS All Access because I am a sucker for reality television. But
Mm.
CBS All Access has access to like a lot of Viacom like properties and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So they get
properties, yeah.
so they get a lot of like they get Nickelodeon stuff and like MTV stuff. So like that's where I watch a lot of my
Mhm.
like Nicktoons and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
so highly recommend it. I'm sure you can buy it on YouTube, rent it on YouTube for like $5 and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But if you're a fan of Hey
Mhm.
Arnold, you'd like this. And like that was like right in my wheelhouse as a kid. Like that like mid
Yeah.
2000s like Nickelodeon stuff. So comes with the
Yeah, I
cooped
love
up
that
seal of
stuff.
approval.
Yeah. That's funny.
I know, like we're both we're both children of that era, so like we talk in SpongeBob quotes like kids in
Oh,
our mid
totally.
20s
Every
do.
day.
I know. I could probably do a whole episode about SpongeBob, but we still got some time
Oh.
left. So is there anything else that you've played or
Uh,
watched that you really liked?
um, recently, I'm trying to think of like some stuff I played recently. Not necessarily streamed, but I've been playing Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 because I love my
Ooh.
puzzle games, so that's good. I'm addicted to No One's Surprise. I also, what else have I been playing? And then on stream lately, yeah, I've been playing Pokemon Crystal. Big shocker, I know.
That is your
That's been
favorite of the
fun.
Pokemon games, correct?
Yes, yeah, that's my number one, and then number two would be Pokemon Emerald. Those are like my top two.
Those are my 1 and 2
Uh,
also. It's really funny.
good. You got good taste. You got good taste. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing lately. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, that's I don't know, that's what's been going
I,
on with me. So
I gotta say, I've actually been going back and like playing some older Pokemon games because like I have this
yeah.
itch every now and then, and I just recently got a new my 3DS broke like a few years ago, and
Oh no.
and I saw that they are gonna like stop production on the 3DS soon, so I hopped on it and I bought a new Nintendo 2DS XL.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
system, fantastic,
Yes, I love
and
the 3DS so much.
yeah, the 3DS is fantastic. It's one of my favorite systems for obvious reasons.
Mhm.
But so
Yes.
I went back and I played through Pokemon X again for the first time in
Oh,
like maybe like 5 or 6
nice.
years. Um,
Yeah.
and like I love those games so much because like the big thing about the 3DS for me is that I needed a game to come out on it that would like drive me to buy it. And like the Pokemon is a
Mhm.
system seller. Like I'm obviously gonna buy
Oh,
Pokemon.
totally.
So like when they announced that
Yeah.
the new game was coming out, I immediately bought one, and I'm like, okay, I'm sold. And I I played the game for like too long that Saturday when I like got out of
Oh
school or
my god.
whatever. So like it was
Yeah.
a fun time, and like I looking back on it, like that game was I feel like was always gonna get like a short end of the stick from that generation because it's the
Mhm.
first Pokemon
Yeah,
game to like go into the 3D and stuff like that.
in 3D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I love the story of Sun and Moon. Like I don't know how hot of a take that
Mhm.
is or not. Like I really like that like cheesy like
I think it's a
Pokemon
medium
story.
take.
Yeah, like I liked it. I thought it was fine. Like I liked the story of
I
like
like the ending of Sun and Moon a lot. I thought that was cool.
yeah. So like those games were fun, and like I spend way too many man hours like planning my Pokemon teams. Like I said earlier, like I
Good.
like to know like what Pokemon are in what version. Like I need to have like
Yep.
specific types of each
Feel
and
that.
stuff like that. Like I need to make sure that like I
Mhm.
don't like having overlapping types when I play Pokemon. It's like
Oh,
super
I
OCD.
got
Yeah,
no, I totally feel that.
yeah. So like I like as much as I like love like Sun and Moon, and the Ultra Sun and Moon was fine, but like it wasn't great.
Mhm.
And I actually still
Yeah.
haven't beat Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Oh, really? You
Yeah,
gotta get on that. Those
I
are
you
good
know what it
games.
is? I like get to like the end game and I just get bored. like
No, that's fair. I get where you're coming from.
like I get to the part of the game. It's happened twice. I get to the part of the game where
Yeah.
like you have to fly. You get like the soaring ability, and then I just get bored.
Mhm.
And stuff like
I
that.
do love that part. That part's fun just because like I wish they would like do that in the other games, but I know it's not gonna happen. So
I know. Um, but I've been playing through X and Y again, and like Mega Evolutions are
and
busted. It's fine, but like
oh,
the
they
game,
totally are.
yeah, but the game just has so much personality, and like there's so many Pokemon in the game, so like every playthrough is like totally different. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
before we get out of here though, that actually led me to like a really fun question to ask you.
Hmm.
Is there a Pokemon? I'm sure the answer is going to be obvious because I know you. Um, is there a Pokemon that like you use if that Pokemon exists in the base game? Is there a Pokemon like what's a Pokemon that you use no matter what? Like if it's available to you.
You know the answer to this, but maybe people listening don't. But right, you.
If they're watching on the YouTube video, they probably can guess. And if you,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but
Yep, Raichu. Raichu is my favorite. So, yep.
that's a good answer. Mine is
Yeah.
Snorlax. Snorlax is one of my favorites.
Ooh.
So
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
you
good
get
one.
him so early in X and Y, and like it's busted to like to have a Pokemon with like that
Oh yeah.
high special defense like that early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
stupid,
wild.
and I love it, and I can't wait to go back and play some more because that game is
Ugh,
is
I need to replay that.
oh, it's
So
awesome.
good.
Like, and you know, as we wait patiently for a Gen 4 remake, I will.
Yeah.
If that comes to fruition, that was like one of the first games as a kid that ruined my sleep schedule. So I'm greatly
Dude, I
excited for
feel that.
that.
Oh man. Well, that was because that was in like middle school, and that's when I kind of like would start staying up like super super late, you know, and like sleeping in and everything, and I would just stay up to play Pokemon Pearl.
Yeah, and like that that my favorite Pokemon of all time is Krogunk because
Oh, I love Pearl.
as a kid growing up, I was obsessed with poison tree frogs. And when I found out that they made
Oh.
when they made a poison tree frog Pokemon, I was stoked. I spent so many hours in the Great Marsh, hours of my life that
Yeah.
I'll never get back, but it was worth it because Toxicroak rocks. And everybody, please put your Pokemon games in a pentagram for a Gen 4 remake. That would be in the Sun and in the Sword and Shield style. Like I think that would look like freaking fantastic. So,
Mm.
but yeah. So we've been going for about an hour, and I think we're about done here. So once again, my friend Allie, thank you so much for sitting down and
Thanks for
chatting with me because this is a lot of fun. So, is there anything you want to plug on your way out of here?
Of course, there's always something to plug, I guess, isn't there? Uh, so I stream every day on Twitch at 6 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Ally, ALI. On Twitter and Instagram, you can find me at Retro Ally. Just swap out the O with a 0 because someone took my name. YouTube, just
Got him.
Retro Ally. I upload every week. And TikTok, if you're to TikTok, I'm on TikTok at Retro Alley. So yeah, that's all my
Ooh,
stuff.
you're
all
our
my
first TikTok plug. Wow.
I tried. Oh my god, I tried to post a TikTok earlier, and apparently TikTok was down. And I'm like, not like usually like you can see when a video gets views within the first couple minutes, but they kept like an hour later, it still said 0 views, and apparently TikTok was down. But I thought I got shadow banned, so that was fun. But anyway,
That would happen. But I'll also put all those links in the description below and stuff like that.
yeah.
So as for myself, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on Twitter at KoopaNJ, like New Jersey. Follow the podcast at KoopdUpPod on Twitter, and email us questions again. This episode will be coming out in, I think, a couple of weeks. But yeah, email us questions at KoopdUpPod@gmail.com or tweet them at us. Like, I'd love to interact with you guys. And again, Allie, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. You're the best. Check her out on Twitch. She's got great emotes. Ladies and gentlemen, from Koop'd Up, my name is Koopa, and we'll be seeing you guys next time.